So there's preparing the stream, you guys. So if you'll just be patient with me. Thank you so much. Thank you and welcome. I am again Ia Fakimishola. Welcome to Awakening Spiritual Temple. Sacred rest, finding renewal in a busy world. Let me know, thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up if you're able to hear me. Good. Thank you so much. Finding renewal in a busy world. So we are finding renewal. And I would like for us to open up with an exercise. I would like for us to ground. I invite you, if you're able to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable with completely closing your eyes, it's okay. Find what we call a drishti, a focal point, something to focus on, whether it's the tip of your nose or an object further down. If you're able to, and if you're driving, of course, we know you can't do this, but if you're able to as well, place your feet flat on the ground. And because we're grounding, our palms will face down on our laps. And once you're there, I invite you to take a deep breath in. We're going to do what we call cleansing breaths. And what you'll do is inhale through your nose and you'll expand in our breathing process. You'll expand your stomach out as if it's a balloon. And when you exhale, you'll push your stomach in, pushing your belly button towards your spine. And that's the process. But our 3 cleansing breaths, you'll inhale, an audible exhale. We're releasing yesterday, releasing this morning, releasing the angst of a few minutes ago. Let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths. Inhaling. Another cleansing breath. I invite you to find your normal breathing pattern. Inhaling through your nose, expanding your stomach as if it's a large balloon. Allowing your breath to flow to your heart center. Exhaling from your heart center to your navel, pressing your belly button towards the back, your navel towards your spine. Inhaling, allowing your breath to flow from your heart center to your throat. Holding. Exhaling from your throat to your heart center, to your navel. Inhale. The breathing pattern now is heart center, throat, the space between your eyebrows, which is your third eye. Holding. Exhale, third eye, throat, heart, navel. Inhaling, heart, throat, third eye, the crown of your head. Holding your breath, allowing your breath to flow from the crown of your head, third eye, space between your eyebrows, your throat, your heart. Hold it there. Allow your breath to flow to your abdominal area, finding your natural breath. In a world that often glorifies busyness, we sometimes forget that rest is not just physical. It's sacred. Concentrating just on your breath, only on your breath right now. Blocking out any sounds. As thoughts appear, let them pass. They're merely thoughts. In a world that often glorifies busyness, we sometimes forget that rest is not just physical. It's sacred. Across spiritual traditions, rest is a divine gift, a time to reconnect the self, the divine, and the rhythms of life. Take this time, inhale, rest. Exhale, rest. Inhaling, rest. Exhaling, rest. When you're ready, you can begin to open your eyes. Become aware of the sounds that are around you. The differences in how your body felt before we started. How your mind felt. And how we feel now. Rest is sacred. The sacredness of rest expands across traditions. In Christianity and in Judaism, the Sabbath is a day of rest to honor creation. And the creation story within Abrahamic traditions, it says on the seventh day, God rested. God took a break. God rested. In African spirituality, rest reflects the natural rhythms of the universe. Day and night, we work and we pause. The natural rhythm, sunrise, sunsets. In Buddhism, mindfulness practices teach us. They teach the importance of pausing to be fully present. Resting your mind from all the chitta, the chatter, all this going around, to be fully present, to be aware. Fully present means I'm not concerned about yesterday. I'm not concerned about the next moment. I'm being right here, right now, fully immersed in that experience. There's a movement going on within the African American community, the Black American community, however it is that you choose to identify, about rest. And it's not a cliche. We understand that rest has so much to do with our cognitive abilities, the way we think. When we don't get enough rest, it causes what? Anxiety. It causes, insomnia causes anxiety. It causes panic. It causes all of these effects upon our emotional body, let alone the way that the lack of rest shows up in our physical body. I would like as well to talk about why rest is essential for the spirit. We're entering into this holiday season, right? Whatever your spiritual practice is, we're entering into this holiday season. We're entering into the end of the year. There's this busyness, this buzz, this is just, sometimes I call it chaotic noise that goes on from November until January 1st. Right? So we have also come out of a presidential election. So there's this heightened angst that we're experiencing. Why rest is essential for the spirit? Because there's a connection. When I talk about mind, body, talk about spirit, we talk about holistic, integrated, all of that. Rest restores balance in the mind. When your mind is at rest, when your mind is at ease, it restores balance in your body and your soul. It balances it out. If my mind is overactive, if my mind is filled with chatter, if my mind is filled with worry, and I discuss that, then my physical body cannot rest. There's no, a lot of times we want to compartmentalize. It's all one. It's holistic. They're all pieces of a whole. And if my soul is not at rest, again, they all affect one another. If my mind is not at rest, your soul is your character. Your soul is your intellect. Your soul is your proclivities. Your soul encompasses, that's that human nature. So if your mind is not at rest and your body's not at rest, if your spirit is not at rest, it can also cause you to behave out of character, to make irrational decisions. Rest is essential for the spirit because it creates space, right, to listen to the inner voice and receive divine guidance. If my spirit is not at rest, if my mind is not at rest, my soul is not at rest, my body is not at rest, I cannot hear. But when I am restored, when I am balanced, it creates the spaciousness for me to hear and to know, to listen to my higher consciousness, to the whisper of God, the whisper of Olodumare, and receive that which I need. But we live in a world that has us so disconnected. If we're constantly going and you're in pain. I've been experiencing pain, and I have to constantly, center myself, because it can cause you to miss the messages that you need, miss the guidance that you seek, miss the messaging that you may not even know that you need, miss the prophetic guidance, the divine guidance and direction. We can become so disconnected that then we began to seek guidance outside of ourselves. But when we're in balance, I can hear the still voice of God, the still voice of spirit, and receive that which I need when I am in a space of mindfulness where my concern is right here, fully present in this moment. I can be awakened to hear that which I did not know that I needed to hear, and that which I need. So I always talk about be present. And you can't be present when there's so many other things going on. Why rest is essential for the spirit? Number 3, rest prevents burnout. And it supports clear thinking, uncloudy thinking, rational thinking. It supports compassion for yourself and towards others. And it brings you in spiritual alignment. I always talk about that. So I said we consist of these natures. And so our soulish nature, when your soul is in proper alignment with the I am, when your soul is in proper alignment with destiny and with spirit, when everything is aligned up properly, right, you're able to move and navigate on the path that destiny has laid out for you. And even when you hit a bump in the road, you're able to clearly think, to clearly decide. And I love because I find that it makes me more compassionate. And I had to put compassionate in there. It gives me the ability to see people through the eyes and the lens of God. It gives me the ability to love on myself, to give myself grace. What can rest look like? What can rest look like? So we have 3 forms of rest: physical rest. And that's what a lot of people have been talking about, physical rest. which is sleeping. Which is relaxation. Physical rest is being able to relax. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to take 8 hours of sleep, but to be able to lay down and relax. Physical rest is taking a break from work. And there's something that's epigenetically that has been passed upon us, those of us in the diaspora. I can only speak for us, those that experience, our ancestors would experience being enslaved and then working, becoming sharecroppers or working, and even in an industrialized system that we have, where you are looked as a body that needs to produce. And we feel that if we are relaxing or we're not physically moving, and this has been passed on from generation to generation, you're lazy, you're not doing anything. And then we're always in this space of lack, not having, being anxious, not having. And now there's a difference, because there's anxiety diagnosis, anxiety disorder, there's panic disorder, that is a chemical and a psychological issue as well, okay? And then there's the anxiety and the angst that we have that comes from not having clear thought. So I always want to emphasize that, because I do believe that there's emotional issues as well. That even being in alignment with rest, the honoring the sacredness of rest, even helps you if you have some emotional issues, if you have some mental health issues or diagnoses. Mental rest. What does that look like, y'all? Stepping away from technology. How many of you guys have ever just said, I need to take a break? Put thumbs up. I had to take a break from technology. You know, it can wear you out. It can wear you out. You know, you can go in this rabbit hole of information, unnecessary information, or just seeing the negativity, you know, even just overstimulation. It doesn't even necessarily have to be negativity, just an overstimulation. So stepping away from technology. One of the first things that my doctor said is move your phone out of your room. And I will place my phone in the closet at night. Turning the TV off. Starting the preparation. I like that. Someone says looking at other people's lives definitely can cause anxiety, because then you begin to compare yourself to what other people have, what other people are doing, and why am I not where they are? Comparison syndrome, for sure. But stepping away from technology can help facilitate rest. Getting off of social media, getting off the phone, moving that little gadget out of your hand, turning off the TV. Placing the phone in the closet, moving it away, practicing stillness, meditation, yoga nidra. If meditation is a taboo word for you, sitting quiet, be quiet. Be still and know that I am God. Notice it said, be still. Being still is a practice. Be still. Quiet your mind so you can experience God, the God in you. So you can experience all the magnificent wonders of spirit. Be still and know, have the knowledge of. And knowledge comes through experience, and this experience can be obtained by you practicing stillness. And as I said before, mental, practicing stillness, getting quiet so that you can hear. Mental rest can show up in journaling, writing out your thoughts, writing out what's going on, not judging yourself about what you write, but writing. That's mental rest. Spiritual rest comes through prayer, meditation, or spending time in nature to connect with the divine, with God, with Olodumare. So we have 3 forms of rest. What rest looks like? It looks like physical rest, mental rest, and spiritual rest. Challenges to rest in a modern life, in modern world. You can say, yeah, okay, it's all good, but how do I incorporate this? We live in this society because there's the societal pressures to stay productive, as I spoke out before. We live in such an industrial age. I got to produce, I got to produce, I got to produce. And as I stated, with those of us who are descendants of, you're lazy because enslaved people had to work from sunrise to sunset, and you would be whipped and beaten if you didn't produce said amount, if you were not constantly in motion. And what happened? I was reading a thing and it said the average enslaved African in Jamaica woman did not live long enough to have a menstrual cycle. She didn't live past 14 or to 14. Not being able to rest. The average age of an enslaved person in the US, you didn't make it to 30. And then we have that mothers and fathers would get on their children about not working and discipline their children because they didn't want this person that was controlling their bodies disciplining their child. And it carried over. And it carried over. We're always labeled as lazy. And so we feel that we can't take a break. And some of our parents put that pressure on us. We can't take a break, even at work. We feel because we've been told you got to work harder than everybody else. You have to work harder. So you have to constantly move and go and go and go and go. We feel because of societal pressures that we have to stay productive. But what you're producing is not beneficial and life-giving because you don't have a clear mind. And it's taking from your source. It's taking from you. Right? It's taking your ashe, it's taking your power. It's literally draining you emotionally, physically, and your soul. There is a guilt or fear of being perceived as lazy. If I'm not moving, if I'm not grooving, if I'm not doing, I'm lazy. You lazy if you're not hustling. You lazy if if you're not working, 2 jobs and then running 4 businesses. That fear. Worrying about what other people have to say about you. Because I can tell you, when you pass away, they'll grieve you for a little bit. The job is not going to care. They'll post your job faster than what you can think. But we're worried about what other people think about us. I'm not going to rest my body. I'm not going to rest my mind. I'm not going to rest my spirit. I'm not going to do physical rest, mental rest, or spiritual rest because I'm worried about the perceptions of what other people, that's their business, right? How people perceive me is their business. As long as I'm a person of good character, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, it's taboo for me to worry about what other people say. If I said, you do what you're supposed to do and don't worry about what other people have to say, as long as you're doing the things that you need to do. And we really need to worry about that. But that also ties into the right as well, that disconnection from social media, that need to always be on. So we have that wanting to be an influencer, that wanting the validation from other people. And so I'm looking and I'm viewing the technology and what other people are doing and what they're posting, the facade, the image, the perception that they would like for you to see. The other challenge to rest in a modern life is lack of intentionality in creating sacred spaces for rest. And I know I use intentionality a lot. A lot of times we want people to just give us the blueprint and do the work for us. So there's this lack of intentionality in creating sacred spaces for rest. Many of you have created space within your home, your bedroom, your living room, your corner, wherever it is, for rest. a sacred space, because it's something about when something becomes sacred, when we set aside, sacred means set aside for a higher purpose, right? It means set aside for a divine purpose. And we're speaking about rest being divine. So the lack of intentionality in creating sacred spaces for rest. I invite each and every one of you, if it's creating a corner in your room or wherever you are, even some space within your car, if it's something you have to roll up, if you could say, hey, yeah, I don't have a space that I can do that, you can create something, a kit, a bag, IKEA bag, put a mat in it, put whatever it is, and sit down and create with intention. This space for me, this corner, is for me to just sit and rest, to ground. If you do nothing but lay down, if you just sit in the stillness, there were so many options that were presented before. Number 5, I want to talk about making rest a spiritual practice. We're going to talk about this intentionality, intentional. Set aside time each week for intentional rest. Whether it's a quiet morning, whether you create a spiritual or weekly spiritual retreat at home, or simply an hour of solitude. Create a sacred practice before you go to bed each night. Don't jump into bed in a hurry and at the last minute. Allow yourself time to center, journal, release the day, take a bath, whatever it is, a shower, cleansing bath, use some sea salt. We want to get like overboard with stuff. There's so much power in water. Begin to speak into the water as you shower, as you bathe. Speak to the water, pray to the water, cleanse me, release. I release all of the luggage and the baggage of today. Give me clear thought, give me clear mind. You guys have so much power in your tongues. And I'm an herbalist and a spiritualist, and I believe in baths and all of that. But water is, I'm a child of the water. I'm Omi. Water has power. Utilize it. Create that sacred space each night before you go to bed to release, to let go, and spend some time unhurried. However that will look for you. Create a ritual around rest. I'll talk about the difference between ritual and routine. Routine is not with intention, not with sacred intention. Ritual is sacred intention. Whether it's lighting a candle, read sacred text, or reflect on gratitude. Affirm. Y'all, we have to release a lot of this from the past. Affirm rest as necessary and a holy act. It's not a luxury. It's this phase going on. Oh, the soft girl life. I'm resting the soft life. Rest is not a luxury. You can rest within your home, rest within your car, rest while walking, rest at the park. We have made everything so consumer. And then we're not affording ourselves the space because we feel that we don't have the money to do it like someone else does it. Rest is necessary and it is holy. It's a holy act. It's not a luxury. Not at all. When we rest, we honor the divine within us. We step into a sacred rhythm that sustains us and reminds us of our wholeness. I have a reflective question for y'all. What is one way you can bring sacred rest into your life this week? We're going to start our Q&A. And I'm going to go offline. I just heard this will be just for us. So give me some time. And before I close out, for those of you who are viewing, what does rest mean to you in a spiritual sense? How do you overcome the challenges of finding time for rest? And what practices help you feel spiritually renewed? Okay. One moment, y'all. I have to